Our next speaker, I'm privileged to introduce Steve Katz, and Steve is a veterinarian and owns an animal hospital in the Bronx. His wife, Nicole, is here, and his children were early Tea Party members before I was, so I was a little late to the game. Steve is, that's why he's one of us. He's no career politician. He stepped forward. It wasn't the case of everybody stepping back. He stepped forward, accepted the challenge to run as a citizen statesman for Greg Ball's seat in 99th District. You're right. People's seat. And clean up the dysfunctional state government, as Greg has done such a wonderful job of pointing out in the Assembly. So, Steve Katz.
Hi everybody. This is like coming home to me. You're getting to talk to members of the Tea Party. And I'm going to have a couple of notes on account of this is the very first speech I've ever given. The first thing I want to, remind everybody and tell everybody, just as Nan said, is welcome to the second great American Revolution. And I'm very proud to say that you and I are on the front lines. And that means a lot, because we're going to take back our government, we're going to take back the Congress, and are you ready to take back our state? Okay, I mean, except for Greg Ball, who I have utmost respect for as a great patriot, a great American, and a vocal minority. This is we're living in the nation's most dysfunctional state government. They're a laughing stock. We're a laughing stock, and it's hard to accept that, especially if you're one of the tax-paying people like we are. And so, at this point, they make the United States Congress people seem like statesmen, and that's a pretty hard thing to do. Okay, the great patriotic statesman, I mean the convicted razor slasher, Hiram Montserrat this week pretty much summed up the condition when he said, I'm not the reason that the state government is dysfunctional. We've been dysfunctional for 40 years. So, Hiram, you're right. I agree with you. So, at this point, I think that it's time for, I've been to the, I was down with Nicole, we were down in Washington on September 12th. And we were down there when we heard the call when Michelle Bachmann needed us to come down and fight for health care. And it was then that I realized that it's time for people to stand up, and a few of us, at least some of us, here's this upwelling of grassroots unrest, unhappiness, and it's time for some people to take the point. Somebody like Nan Hayworth, who is just like me. I'm not a career politician. She's not a career politician. We're standing up and we're going to try to take back this government. We're hoping that there's one of us in every district, one of the Greg Balls in every district, so that we can finally retake this government, and we, the people who actually pay for this government, both federal and state, will be able to once again wrest control and be able to run the country the way we had hoped to do, the way it had been run for the last 200 years. So I think that it's very, very important that we have people like us, people who are talking from the heart, who expect to go in there as dispassionate business people, people who've had to make payroll, people who have had to pay our taxes, to go in there and actually finally have a say in how we run this government. We've been too long in letting the good times roll and not doing anything and watching these people tell us what they're going to do and not do anything of the sort. And it's time for us to take it back. So at this point, I'm just starting to learn about New York State in terms of what we need, what we can do, and especially our district, the district that I'm hoping to keep conservative when Greg moves up to the state senate. And essentially what I would like to see at this point, if I'm elected, is number one, we're going to have some honesty coming back to this government. We're going to have some real transparency. If myself, if Greg, if Nan, if we can get the majority, that's what we're trying to do. Isn't that what the Tea Party is all about? Isn't that what our conservative movement is all about? Our conservative movement is to get, ultimately, to get people in the government like us so we can once again be a majority, bring some fiscal sense to the state and to the federal government, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what I hope to do. I tell you, there will be term limits if I have something to say about it. Okay, I'll be the happiest person if I can get myself kicked out in 2 years. Nothing wrong with that. In the state, I would like to see us freeze the budget at the 2009 level.
Amen. Amen.
And then what I'd like to see is, from there, have a Harry Truman Commission style commission that will go top to bottom through every single state funding program and cut the pork. I mean, I am with Greg in that I will do everything I can to repeal the MTA transit tax.
Yeah.
And I would also see if this god-awful healthcare program goes through, then I will do what I can to see to it that we have nullification, and if necessary that we have our Attorney General join the other states in a lawsuit against the United States government. And last, but certainly not least, and maybe I should have put it first, jobs, jobs, jobs. What I intend to do is I would like to lower the corporate taxes, to make New York become a magnet once again for new businesses who want to come into New York. I'd like to cut the god-awful red tape that you have to go through in order to open up a business. I will tell you, I'm a veterinarian, I'm in the Bronx, I am opening up in 1 month a $1 million hospital that I have had every possible obstacle put in my way to keep from opening, to make it absolutely not business friendly, to the point that if I wasn't living in New York and if I didn't have the commitment to our state, we'd be gone. But we're going to stick it out because I love this place. This is where I was born. This is where I live. This is where I'm raising my children, and I want to see a government that's going to respond to taxpayers like us. So, in short, if I'm elected, I can promise you that I will go up to Albany, I will roll up my sleeves, and I will, as Lincoln once said with a little bit of modification, I will go up there and do the tax-paying people's work.
Our next speaker, I'm privileged to introduce Steve Katz, and Steve is a veterinarian and owns an animal hospital in the Bronx. His wife, Nicole, is here, and his children were early Tea Party members before I was, so I was a little late to the game. Steve is, that's why he's one of us. He's no career politician. He stepped forward. It wasn't the case of everybody stepping back. He stepped forward, accepted the challenge to run as a citizen statesman for Greg Hall's seat in 99th District. You're right, people's seat. And clean up the dysfunctional state government, as Greg has done such a wonderful job of pointing out in December. So, big thanks.
This is like coming home to me. You're getting to talk to members of the Tea Party. And I'm going to have a couple of notes on account of this is the very first speech I've ever given. The first thing I want to, remind everybody and tell everybody, just as Nan said, is welcome to the second great American Revolution. And I'm very proud to say that you and I are on the front lines. And that means a lot because we're going to take back our government.